The rapid growth of selling love in Athens occurred in 800 to 500 years BC, when the city, with the suburb of Piraeus, became the largest seaport. Many brothels of various levels appeared there, and love for money turned into an industry. The development of this business fed the women involved and strengthened the economy. Merchants and sailors came to Athens from all over the world. They spent money in brothels, which had a positive effect on the development and formation of the city as an economic center of the ancient world. But it wasn't just strangers who created the demand. Men in ancient Greece rarely married before the age of 30. Young people used the services of whores to get sexual experience. Sometimes single Greeks took whores to their homes as concubine mistresses. In some cases, they lived with them for so long that became practically as wives, and received all the rights of a legitimate spouse. However, the children born from them didn't become citizens of the state. Married men also did not neglect the services of harlots. They turned to hetaeras or forced their slaves to have sexual relations. Their wives in such cases were supposed to silently tolerate their husbands' infidelities. There is information in the historical chronicles that one wife could not stand such a life and filed for divorce. But her attempt was unsuccessful. Whores, unlike ordinary Greek women, had the right to independently dispose of their money. Many of them were quite wealthy and opened own brothels. However, not everything was so simple in their lives. Children born by whores could not become citizens of Athens and, in fact, had no future. This led to terrible consequences. If a whore had a girl, then she was destined for the fate of a mother, and this considered normal. But if it was a boy, then in most cases, the mother simply killed him. With money received from sale of sexual services, whores often bought slaves and taught them their profession. This was how they prepared a source of income for themselves in the old age. Few people needed aged whores, their slaves and daughters earned them livelihood. It is known about 3 types of women who sold their bodies for money in ancient Greece. The first type is pornai, the most accessible. They were the property of pimps who received part of their income. At first, slaves of barbaric origin belonged to this category. Later, Greek women, abandoned in childhood by their fathers, began to go to pornai. In fact, they were considered slaves. Cheap pornai worked in the red light district, in the port of Piraeus, in the ceramics district, where many merchants and sailors looked for love pleasures at low prices. The statesman Solon was the first to propose the establishment of official brothels, where everyone could buy love for money and at the same time benefit the state. The services of women of easy virtue were taxed. Scientists suggest that the temple of Aphrodite Pandemos was built on taxes received from the priestesses of love. It is not surprising that the people of Athens considered paid love as a part of democracy. The second type of women of easy virtue was independent free whores. These were a step above pornai. They did not live in brothels and were not considered slaves. They openly showed off their charms to potential clients, wore sandals that left footprints with the words "Follow me." They also used excessively bright makeup to make it easier for men to distinguish them from ordinary women. Widowed women who had no means of livelihood, as well as foreign women who could not find work in Athens, got into this category of whores. Pornai could also join them if they managed to earn enough money to buy their freedom. This kind of selling love was also legalized. Such women were required to register and pay taxes. In some cases, independent whores included women who played musical instruments, sang and danced on holidays. Often, the cost of entertainment services also implied a night with a musician. Hetairæ stood at the highest level in the hierarchy of whores. They somewhat resembled the Japanese geisha, as we now know them. Hetairai can hardly be called whores, in the literal sense of the word. Clients did not have a short-term relationship with them. Now they would correspond to escorts and kept women. The hetairai was a companion of a wealthy man. She accompanied him at feasts and other events, which implied the provision of sexual services as needed. Usually hetairai were educated and knew how to maintain a small conversation in society. They were not paid for every meeting, but for a longer period of time. The services of hetairai were valued quite highly. They were financially independent and conducted their own affairs independently. But there existed also a demand for sexual services of a different kind in ancient Greece. Sometimes men also sold their bodies. Some of them focused on the female clients. In the writings of Aristophanes, there is a mention of an elderly lady who spent money on a young gigolo. Others pleasured persons of their own sex, the men. In ancient Greece, homosexuality was not considered as something shameful. But if women of easy virtue were in demand, almost at any age, except for the elderly, then young men were valued as long as they not grow a beard. Brothels with young men were located not only in the red light district, but throughout Athens. They also paid taxes on their activities, so the townspeople did not blame either their occupation or visiting such establishments. But let's return to the whores, who were still much more. The most famous hetairai of ancient Greece was Thais from Athens. She escorted Alexander the Great in many campaigns and then managed to become the wife of the Egyptian king Ptolemy. Thais had a cool temper and a vindictive character. Many historians believe that she provoked Alexander to burn down the palace of Xerxes in Persepolis. When Alexander captured the city, Thais made a fiery speech before the palace and threw a torch at it, after which the palace was set on fire. This was her revenge for the Acropolis of Athens burned by Xerxes. Another famous hetairai was Phryne. She had a delightful figure and was the model of a sculptor Praxiteles for the statue of the nude Aphrodite. The original is lost, but a copy has been preserved. One rejected fan of Phryne went to court and accused her of godlessness. A hetairai is posing for a statue of the goddess. For this, she was threatened with the death penalty. But at the trial, Phryne threw off her clothes and amazed everyone with her beauty. According to the believing of ancient Greeks, a beautiful body could not contain a godless soul. And Phryne was acquitted. Ancient authors claim that the hetairai had very modest habits, dressed in thick long clothes, covered her hair and wrists, did not even visit public baths. Phryne did not have clearly set prices. If she did not like a man, she called a giant price. At the same time, there are sources claiming that she liked Diogenes so much that entertained him for free. Interestingly, in the harshest of the Greek kingdoms, Sparta, there were no priestesses of love for a long time, and paid love was condemned. But this is not from chastity. Historians see the reason that the Spartans simply did not have precious metals for such entertainment. Local money was made from cheap alloys and was not valued by pimps and whores. However, by about the 4th century BC, Sparta began to get richer, and money from precious metals appeared in it. Soon brothels were opened there. Well, what about the attitude to whores in Athens? On the one hand, the residents of the capital calmly perceived the existence of wrong places and did not condemn the activities of the priestesses of love. But on the other, it cannot be said that they were considered full-plugged members of society. Scientists give the following example. Oral pleasures were officially considered by Greeks as rather humiliating occupation, so even young gigolos did not provide such services. And only women of easy virtue descended to this occupation. In addition, those selling the body for money were deprived of civil rights. So, there were cases when men, who became quite decent and wealthy, did not have rights, for the reason that they were gigolos in their youth. Ancient authors explained it simply. According to their logic, a person who sold his body to others for pleasure, with no hesitation, can sell the interests of society. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, write comments. See you.